Welcome to Night Shadows. I'm Stewart Best, where the paranormal is normal, where that which you thought you knew, you didn't, and where the future can be known if you know exactly where to look.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We've got an update from Larry on his mountaintop. Things have gone hot in Pakistan, Indian situation, and they're even talking about throwing around nukes, I guess. What's the latest, Larry? What's just come across?
Yeah, the latest since this whole scenario began is that you remember the previous general or president of Pakistan, Pervez Musharraf.
Yes.
He's come out and he warned the leadership of Pakistan. He says if Pakistan, this is a warning now to the government of Pakistan from Musharraf. He said if Pakistan attacks India with one nuclear bomb, India will drop 20 nuclear bombs on Pakistan. And he's warning them to not go for that. But I saw something on Smart News just before the show which indicated that the Pakistani generals were clamoring for the government to release them to use nukes. And that's not good.
Yeah, that would be, well, you know, there's that old prophecy, and I wish I could find it because I'm not sure. It's in one of the extra biblical books, I think. But anyway, it indicates that it'll be India and Pakistan where this whole thing starts. It does go nuclear, but then it starts to expand. Evidently, you know, humankind just can't learn anything from the past. They forget everything. And they have not because they ask not. When they ask amiss, and they want it for themselves rather than others, and on it goes. And evidently we just never do learn anything at all. So have they, it appears as though that this, now as I understand it, India made an air raid on a terror camp in Pakistan. Is this what started this?
Well, actually, Stuart, what started this was, if you'll remember back a few years ago, remember the Mumbai terror attack where the Pakistani terrorists came in by boat and attacked the hotel and held hostages, and that was a big deal. And India really had a fit over that and wanted to go to war with Pakistan over it, but I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Bush or Obama, probably Obama, but, you know, he refused to back it. He refused to, you know, allow it. And so India backed off, and now suddenly a terror attack came out of Pakistan, and India says that they have proof that the spy agencies within Pakistan and this Pakistani army were behind this attack, and they attacked a village there, or a town in Kashmir that is an Indian town, and killed a bunch of people and fled back across the border. Well, India actually, and I'll read the headlines here. Yahoo News Today. India launches airstrikes into Pakistan territory. First Indian airstrikes in 40 years as Pakistan scrambles fighter jets in response. Now, Hal Turner came out and his read, India launches airstrikes into Pakistan. Indian Mirage fighter jets cross the LOC, which is the line of control, and entered Pakistan, launching crippling strikes against the Pakistani terror camps inside Pakistan. And he reported that India dropped 2,000-pound bombs on the terror camps and completely destroyed them. And, of course, immediately Pakistani fighter jets tried to intercept the Indian bombers to shoot them down, and they were unsuccessful. And then, according to reports from Hal Turner, Pakistan began firing their artillery and rocket and mortar rounds into India, So that's where it stands at the moment, and India has already warned that they're not going to go very far with a conventional war. You know, if Pakistan wants to, you know, this really was a strike from Pakistan that started this, not India.
Mm-hmm.
But now Pakistan wants to use a nuke.
Well, of course, they've been fighting since 1947 when Great Britain let India become its own nation, and of course it was Great Britain that created Pakistan, if I remember my history right, and it's the religious concept, I guess. But if India decides that it's not going to fight a long war, doesn't that kind of indicate that they will use nukes if Pakistan launches a first strike or whatever?
Well, we're just going to have to wait and see, because I saw reports on Hal Turner's site late this evening that the Pakistani government was in a war council and talking about, and matter of fact, Fox News reported just a little bit ago, and I called you and told you about it, that Pakistan was preparing an attack on India. So this is growing by the minute. Now, what's interesting about India, Pakistan has nukes, you know, inside their country that they can use they could drop them or they could put them on missiles. But India has a naval force; they could fire them from out in the ocean. I mean, India is considerably more diverse with their nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and in India, I know there's been this battle of, I don't know what you could call it, hatred or whatever. It's kind of like America being divided, you know, and it's gotten into being an emotional domestic, and reason has left. And maybe, hopefully, however, the Pakistan-Indian both will have cool heads and will rein in this. But prophetically wise, this is the timeline is what disturbs me more than anything. That we are coming into the May 14th date for Israel's the final 70th, the end of the 70th year. And the Lord has in the past kind of cleaned things up. And then we enter into the period of Israel's intense trouble, Jacob's trouble. That's what bothers me more than anything, is the timing of all this and what's going on in Venezuela. It seems to me, from what Pence had to say, that, okay, if he won't step down, we're going to come in. But anything else on Pakistan, I know they were moving a whole bunch of tanks to the border of the LOC area. So have you heard any more about that part of it? Are they doing heavily any fighting on the ground at all that you know of?
They are moving a lot of tank forces, you know, towards Kashmir, and at the same time, their artillery that we learned the other day was they had already begun moving it. Remember, I think Hal Turner had a post that they were already moving artillery anyway. So this whole thing was kind of blooming a little bit anyway, and people just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. So if there's heavy ground fighting, that'll probably eliminate nukes temporarily, because they wouldn't want to destroy their own troops. But wow, this thing could balloon. No, getting over to Venezuela, the other hot spot. We got so many hot spots now. From what Pence had to say, what's your take on it? I got the distinct impression that what he said was, if Maduro will not step down, we're going to go in. And we're going to force it. And we're going to remove it.
Well, that's the interesting thing that's going on today. He again had a photo op with Guaido from Venezuela that's in actually Bogota, Colombia, I believe, and meeting with Pence. And they both had pretty serious looks on their faces, especially Pence. And the intel coming down said that all options on the table means exactly what it says. And also, by the way, I believe it was 2 shiploads of aid that was coming from Costa Rica that was off the Venezuelan coast now have been threatened by the Venezuelan Navy under Maduro, and they've had to hunt for safety in a safe harbor away from Venezuela. So Maduro's not leaving, apparently. He's not going to lose his hold, and he's not coming out of there. You remember he made the old remark, reminded the U.S. about Vietnam. Now, what's interesting, too, Stewart, is that a few hundred of Maduro's, I guess you could say his troops, have defected into Colombia, and they have met with Pence and Guaido, sworn loyalty to Guaido now, and they want to be armed by the U.S. and allowed to go back and fight Maduro inside Venezuela. So this thing is kind of tipping, if you will, towards the military side of things.
Well, I do remember what Putin had to say about all that. If we got involved in a military operation, he was not going to be very happy about it. And also, of course, he's got millions of dollars invested in it, as China does, Cuba does. So Cuba's got military. So if we get involved in a ground war or even an aerial war, and we kill off a bunch of Russian troops or Chinese troops or whatever, is that not going to be considered an act of war? And maybe this is what, ignites everything from that forward, that time forward. Who knows?
Well, what's interesting, Stewart, is the fact, I'll tell you what, there was a report just a few minutes ago on Fox Business, on the intel report, indicating that one of Maduro's top generals, not one of the lower rank ones, but one of the top generals, had just sent his family out with the Chinese to China to be taken care of. Now that, to me, would be a clue that Maduro and those top generals are preparing to go to war, and they're moving their families out of the way.
Yep. Interesting where he sent them. That shows you the deep ties that the leadership of Venezuela has with China. Very, very interesting.
With China. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Any other news? We got to shut down here in a couple minutes, but this is only a short update, folks. Just wanted to keep everybody posted on what's going on. I do have a headline here. Israeli intelligence warns 150,000 ISIS members are deployed around the world. And, of course, that means also they are embedded in the United States, as would be appropriate because of what Jeremiah the prophet says. Anything else, Larry, before we shut down?
Yeah, to what you said, Israel is preparing for war. There's no doubt about it. This may begin to go in all directions at the same time. This very serious time frame we've entered into.
Well, yeah, with the time frame and the timelines of the Lord, I would say if you haven't prepared, you might have a couple days to do so. This can get hot and heavy real fast, and not good. As Larry has repeatedly warned people, prepare yourselves, not only food and water, but spiritually, because this thing, I personally think if the pre-tribulation or tribulational rapture is correct, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is, we're gonna see some heavy activity here in the very near future. By the end of 2019 or so, we don't really know for sure, but it sure looks that way. War everywhere, as Larry's good friend said he saw. So that's where we are, and if we hear of any major activity, or if it goes nuclear, we'll certainly come on and let everybody know. But anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in and listening, and take care of yourselves. Heads up, your redemption draweth nigh. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Larry.